As president, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class that advance their economic security, stability, and dignity. Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy. An opportunity economy. An economy where everyone can compete and have a real chance to succeed. Everyone, regardless of who they are or where they start, has an opportunity to build wealth for themselves and their children, and where we remove the barriers to opportunity so anyone who wants to start a business or advance their career can access the tools and the resources that are necessary to do so.
All right, I was in and out, obviously, but she wrapped up. Anybody can start a small business. The government will help you. You don't have to take a risk. You don't have to work hard. You don't have to amass capital. You don't have to save. You don't have to scrimp. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to sweat. She's a socialist, borderline communist. Her economic plan is a joke. Actually, if it weren't, maybe it's a nightmare, right? I guess you got to start taking this stuff seriously now. I can't. I don't. There are more important things going on right now. We'll get back to her later if we have to. I want to talk about what happened to Donald Trump on July 13th and what happened to Comperatore and his family, that man who was murdered that day. It's funny that so much of the media, so much of our culture seems to have moved on. Well, we just got an update from the family. They're doing better. The wife, the two daughters, there they are back when they were dating, back in the 90s and raising a family. They have lots of questions about what happened to their dad, their husband, and they're not just going to sit back, all right? These are amazing people. First up, though, who remembers when Donald Trump paid tribute to Corey at the RNC? This was obviously special for the family and meaningful for Donald Trump, but even more so after we heard this from Helen Comperatore.
Corey's firefighter gear was displayed at the Republican National Convention, which was a special honor.
That was an honor. That was a big honor. Yeah, that was a big honor. I'll tell you why. All day at the rally, my husband kept saying, he's going to call me up on stage. You're going to hear him. He's going to say, Corey, come on up here. Corey, get up here. He was just joking, you know, obviously, but he kept saying that. You're going to get up. You know, he's going to call me up on stage. And we were all like, there's his moment. He's up on stage. So, yeah, he got his moment on stage.
A lot more than a moment on stage, though, ma'am. The names are forever linked in history. Donald Trump and Corey Comperatore. These two men will forever be linked. And it's fascinating that her husband was saying that, maybe jokingly, but also maybe he had a sense that somehow this was his destiny to be forever linked with Donald Trump. It's interesting, it's moving, it's touching, it's sad, it's so many things. We also learned today, the family, and they're speaking to a local television station in Pittsburgh. I'm kind of glad they didn't show up on Good Morning America or the Today Show. They want answers. This was a massive failure. The government let down this family.
I know he would want me to get to the bottom of it. I know he would.
To get answers to what happened, she's hired an attorney to help her find answers and get justice.
I want justice for my husband, and I'm going to get it.
They specifically want answers from security at the rally.
I just want them to know that I really think my dad's blood is on their hands, and I hope they wake up every day thinking about what they took from our family, because we have to wake up every day and see that image of our father in our head. And no child should ever have to see that.
Remember, they were all at the rally together. Corey protected his family, those two daughters. They saw him murdered. And I've said before, the government let them down. Who knows? Maybe portions of the government did far worse than just letting them down. All right, I have to talk about the would-be assassin, Crooks, and how little we know about this guy. And again, to remember that for hours ahead of time, law enforcement saw him. The Secret Service was notified. It's crazy. At one point, he was on the cell phone, and you can almost read the content of his cell phone. Someone pointed this out to me about 10 days ago, and I'm like, you're right. And a congressman put out a letter. It says the following. The FBI released the body of the shooter on July 23rd for cremation. It was not public knowledge until August 5th. The coroner's report, late, autopsy, people haven't seen it. Why not? Why was this all done in secrecy? Where are the parents? What is going on? Why don't we have more information? I'll go back to 1963. A lot we don't know about the assassination of JFK. I think Oswald was definitely involved. Oswald was killed. Also incredibly suspicious, right? They had virtually no protection that day. Just let him go by the people. When Oswald was buried, who was there? The media. This is Oswald's funeral and burial in Fort Worth. You know who actually served as the pallbearers? Reporters. Some of those people are reporters. Take it full. He didn't have too many friends, right? So they filled in as pallbearers, if you can believe that. It was public. It wasn't hidden. We had a free and open society. We don't have one of those now. Crooks, one of the most notorious names and people in a long time. FBI released the body on July 23rd. Did they actually have custody of the body? This is so strange. What kind of country is this? It makes no sense, does it? We are in a very strange place. And we've been through a lot as a country. Who remembers the KKK? They were terrorists, right? Absolutely. But you believe that Kamala thinks that parts of law enforcement today, like ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, she's made the case that they're as bad as the KKK?
Comparing it to the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a
that
perception?
puts ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
That's what she was getting at. How about that one, huh? Well, the perception. If anybody perceives that they're crazy, Kamala just might be crazy. The KKK, Immigrations Customs Enforcement. Then again, this is Kamala. Remember those Border Patrol guys? Patrolling the border as they're supposed to do? This is like textbook Border Patrol. Not trying to round them up, trying to keep them out. And the whips were for the horses, not for the human beings. And so many investigations have determined that. But what did she do when she saw a picture? She got mad. She got inflamed. She saw something on the internet. She didn't need any facts. She didn't need any expertise. She just needed to shoot her mouth off.
What I saw depicted about those individuals on horseback treating human beings the way they were is horrible. And I fully support what is happening right now, which is a thorough investigation into exactly what is going on there. But human beings should never be treated that way. And I'm deeply troubled about it.
Okay, just tell the Border Patrol to let everybody inside. They know nothing. They're so ignorant, these people. Again, those guys, I think they're still in administrative limbo. The president said horrible things about them, and they did nothing wrong. I think one guy got in trouble for using a curse word. Can you imagine that? Well, In this day and age, in this depraved society, one of these guys was written up for using a figure of speech that might not have been ideal. All right. Just a reminder, this woman has received 0 votes. She's the Democrat nominee, and nobody voted for her. Nobody really voted for her in 2020 either. That's like, she was just picked. What do you have to do to become a nominee? Traditionally in America, in a democracy, you got to get out there and talk to the people and try to get them to like you and your ideas. She remains in a bubble, in a very special bubble. She really digs the trappings of power. Look at those guys in the salute. She's saying goodbye, getting on Air Force Two, having the time of her life. This is not a democracy. This is royalty or Soviet Union stuff where you could not approach the dear leaders. America, you're allowed to walk up to these people and call them names and ask them obnoxious questions. You're allowed to do these things. You're supposed to do these things. Democrats and Republicans alike. You go out there, you're surrounded by people, you answer question after question after question, you get insulted, you get patted on the back. It's politics, except for Kamala, right? She gets the easy ride. Why is that? Why is that? How is this happening in America? And how about that character she's linked up with? Always apologize. He's always either lying or apologizing for being, what's his latest thing? Oh, yeah, white. He doesn't like being a Caucasian. He feels very self-conscious about that.
And I will not patronize you as a white man without living those lived experiences of how very difficult that is.
Some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys.
I think old white men need to learn how to talk about this a little more. And I think the biggest thing is listen to women, listen to what they're saying.
I understand that the privilege I've been given as a white man and the privilege of sitting in the office of governor, that privilege had better be used to not just talk about the problem, but to solve the problem.
Speak for yourself, pal. If you want to go around talking about that nonsense, the color of your skin, have at it. But the problem is you're in a position of influence now. There is a trickle-down effect, and folks who work at the bus depot are going to have to put up with your perceived white privilege. It is nonsense, but it's going to be that's what makes him work. I think that's why he got the job with Kamala, putting himself down because he's white. Yeah, he puts himself down because he's white. So all week long, have you heard about this yet? About how he likes plain vanilla food because he's a plain vanilla guy. His words. Tacos they're talking about. Watch.
Like I have white guy tacos and
What is
like
that,
black,
like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's
and,
okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota, you know.
I'm the first vice president, I believe, who has ever grown chili peppers.
Well, trying to expand my food knowledge.
Trying to play this weird, non-threatening, I'm just a white guy from Minnesota. You got nothing to worry about, Kamala. I'm going to be subservient. I'm not going to stick up for myself. I'm going to be just a chump. It is weird. It is un-American. And it's also totally and completely dishonest. This guy has actually entered spicy food eating contests and recipe making things and won. The guy won hot dish competitions. These guys have this stuff on Capitol Hill. If they're not playing softball, they're having cook-offs. With his turkey taco hot dish, Representative Tim Walz grabbed his first place at Senator Al Franken's 6th annual Hot Dish Off on Wednesday. This is back in 2016. A hot dish dynasty is born, Representative Walz said after winning his 3rd hot dish championship. This is Representative's 3rd victory. His turkey trot tater tot hot dish won in 2014, and his Herman the German hot dish placed first in 2013. And what's in his little recipe here? They actually posted it online. Tim's turkey taco tot hot dish: paprika, chili powder, onion powder, and garlic powder. I'm no chef, but that stuff is a bit spicier than table pepper. How about this? They lie about everything, and they think we're stupid. Well, in a way, a good chunk of the country, they're never going to hear this stuff. The fake news will protect them. They're not going to go there. I don't know why. It's kind of fun, don't you think?